They say you can't have it all, but I might be the exception.
Knock 'em dead, honey.
With my Southern charm, I've skyrocketed to a top-selling sales rep at a pharmaceutical company. I live in a swanky house in a gated neighborhood.
Morning, Mrs. Ashley.
With my very successful husband.
Hello, Robert.
I want to play Amber out here next week.
That needs to go through the lawyers. I'm not going to discuss it with you.
That's not what we agreed on.
I survived 2 failed marriages to get this life.
Hurry up, Amber. You'll miss your bus.
And, of course, my proudest accomplishment is being a mother. People say that I've arrived, whatever that means. And yet, I can't shake this nagging feeling that I will wake from this euphoria and my world will be shattered.
Morning, Deb. Ready to push some drugs with the Southwest's #1 salesman?
Oodles of them.
That's my girl.
My name is Debbie Ashley. And within months, someone I know will kill me in cold blood. Driving is like therapy to me. Spending hours alone in my company car allows me a quiet place where my mind tends to drift. Growing up in Georgia, you're taught to greet everyone with a smile. That's what I've taken to heart.
She smiled all the time, and if she saw you not smiling, she would want to know, hey, what's going on? Are you good? Do you need to talk about something? Debbie was very special in that she was very caring, always concerned about everyone's well-being. Our birthdays were only like 3 days apart. So, of course, we're like 2 peas in the pod from the day that we met each other. She used to call me every weeknight at 10 minutes after 10. She did it the whole time I knew her.
I couldn't wait to get married and leave home. But it was with a man too much like my father, and I was way too young.
She was married at 17 for several years to her first husband that was the father of her baby girl, Amber.
She eventually decided that she needed to be able to support herself and Amber. And so she put herself through college, really.
She got a degree in psychology. She was a smart girl.
After our marriage ended, I met Robert Autry, an old-fashioned man who was a good provider.
So she found another relationship with her second husband, which really didn't last very long, actually.
She once again married an older man. He was a tax attorney in Atlanta.
He had drinking issues, anger issues, was not a very pleasant person.
Just calm down.
Tell me what to do in my own house.
That's probably what caused her to have another divorce.
Nobody walks out on me!
Debbie had been very unlucky in love. She was a woman who wanted to be married, and she was very attractive. Men were attracted to her, and I think that she would get into these relationships and they would move very quickly.
Instead of spinning out of control, I took control. By 30, I had finished college and bought my own condo. But my illusion of control is about to be sorely tested.
After Debbie Ashley's mother died, Debbie discovered that she was adopted.
Is there a single man on this earth who isn't a liar? Even Daddy?
Probably that's when she really decided that she wanted to have fun in life. She wanted to be independent. She wanted to have a career. And that's when she met Larry at a gym where they were working out together.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you using this?
Just finished. Let me wipe it down for you.
Why, thank you so much. Most folks would just walk away.
Well, I don't think for a second that I'm doing this for free. I expect the phone number of a very, very beautiful woman in exchange.
He seemed very confident. He seemed very a guy that was going places. That was one of the things that attracted her to him. Given her last 2 marriages, she thought, I finally found the guy. He's the right one.
I think I finally met a great guy. Meanwhile, my 15-year-old daughter is dating my worst nightmare.
What'd you tell your mom?
I told her I was going to study at Tammy's house. Tammy will cover for me, don't worry.
You're barely in high school, girl. I ain't worried about Tammy. I'm worried about my little piece of jailbait right here.
Hey, my mom dates older men. So can I.
Is that for me? My little gift.
Oh.
And Debbie and Larry, they married, and he was a lot of fun. But she was more concerned about what Amber thought.
Is Amber out tonight?
She's at Tammy's. Problem?
No, not at all. In fact, it's gonna be better. I have a big surprise for you.
I have one for you.
Ew.
Amber! Honey, what are you doing here?
Killing the mood, apparently.
That girl is gonna be the death of me.
So, what is the big secret?
What do you know about Arkansas?
Debbie and Larry moved to Little Rock, Arkansas with Debbie's daughter, Amber.
Larry had taken an administrative position with the psychiatric hospital.
She was determined to be a good wife and followed this man to Little Rock. But she kept the condominium in Atlanta that she had had.
Moving to Little Rock is good for my marriage, but I worry that it's putting a strain on my relationship with my daughter.
What do you think of Little Rock, honey? It's not Atlanta.
Her daughter was not real happy to be in Little Rock. And I remember her just saying, well, this is definitely not Atlanta. Debbie was a little concerned about some things that were going on with some of the relationships that their daughter was in at the time. And I remember us having a conversation about, hey, if you let her know that you don't like them, then they're going to like them more and more and more. It was very prestigious, and that neighborhood was really nice. You just don't question how much somebody is making. So I didn't really question whether or not they could afford the house.
Hey, Mom. I need some money for books at school.
Oh, I don't have any cash on me, honey, but here, take my credit card. Just be sure to give it back to me. That's odd. Where's my credit card? And my traveler's checks. I have a trip tomorrow. Did either of you? Where the heck are they? Don't worry, honey. I'll figure something out.
She was a little creeped out by the gardener, and so she thought perhaps he's the one who'd broken in her house and stole her travel checks and her credit card.
My new neighborhood is less desirable than advertised. In fact, this move will be the death of me. That's supposed to be a figure of speech, but in my case, it's a cold, hard fact.
She was very organized. She was very committed to the job. I think the only thing that was a problem for Debbie was being away at her job so much.
The 2 o'clock got pushed up an hour.
Seems to be happening a lot lately.
Does it?
What's his name again?
Brandon. He knows all the doctors, all the hospitals. He's showing me the ropes. I can't really say no.
She could say no to me, right?
Not when it counts.
She made a comment about there been some stress in their marriage. She just said, we're both working a lot of hours, so, we're feeling the stress and we need, more time together. The type of work we did, 90% of it was relationship building.
Great job today.
Thanks.
How about some celebratory carbs? Best damn donut shop in Little Rock, huh?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right.
Being a traveling saleswoman gives a married woman a lot of independence. But I'm careful about setting professional boundaries.
Amazing. Straight to my hips.
Oh, now trust me, there's nothing wrong with your hips. Sometimes you gotta give in to life's pleasures.
I'm quite sure that she did not want to have another divorce.
She carried a gun in her purse all the time, a .22 semi-automatic pistol.
Hey, Miss Ashley. Is it pretty, huh? Gonna make these beds look as beautiful as you.
I'm sure they'll look great.
The neighbor we talked to said that Debbie had asked her if she'd seen anything odd around her house because she thought someone had been in her car and had been in their home.
Larry, that gardener gives me the creeps. He nearly accosted me outside.
Hey, when do you get paid again?
I'm sorry, what?
As I just had to shuffle some money around so our checking account wasn't overdrawn.
Late rent notice? Larry, you told me we were leasing to own. I thought the monthly payments were going to purchase this home. Our home.
Well, don't get in a tizzy. It's gonna be all right.
Certainly Debbie thought that it was their home. She didn't really understand their financial situation at all.
Larry agrees to sell his Atlanta home to get us out of a hole. So Amber and I take a road trip to sell the house and catch up with friends. Unfortunately, Amber has a friend that I do not approve of.
Missed you, babe.
I miss you more. Little Rock is awful. It just sucks.
So, move back to Atlanta. Live with me.
Yeah, right. I'm not old enough. My mom would kill me and you.
Not if we kill her first.
You're very funny. A real Eddie Murphy.
Don't laugh at me. Never laugh at me.
Ow. I'm not laughing.
I think that Debbie's biggest concern about Amber and this guy that she was dating was that he could be aggressive or abusive.
What time is it? Oh, crap, come on. Come on, my mom's waiting.
Apparently, Debbie was not very comfortable with the relationship that they had. knowing how influential a guy can be over a girl. She was just concerned he may influence her to not make good choices. She wanted to ensure that she had a prosperous future.
Sorry I'm late. The movie let out early and I wanted something.
I saw you pull up.
Oh. Well,
I'm not letting you out of my sight while we're in Atlanta.
But Mom, I love him.
Time to date some boys your own age.
This guy apparently wasn't someone that you would want to bring home to Mommy.
What a day.
Wow. It's like the third time this month. You're going with that Brandon guy, right?
Larry, I promise we'll spend time together when I get home.
Larry is not the only one that's upset with me. Things are also getting weird with my ex-husband, Robert.
You're there. Surprised you're not out of town.
Debbie's second husband kept track of her expenses on her credit cards. I suspect he was a little strange.
Robert, are you drunk?
Debbie, what the hell are you doing? These credit card statements are insane.
I can't talk to you when you're 3 sheets to the wind.
Your first husband was a deadbeat, and your new husband's just as worthless. How was the best thing that ever happened to you, Debbie?
Go to hell, Robert.
And now, I hear your daughter's running around with some white trash redneck? Like mother, like daughter.
So, your ex-husband's harassing you now? Do you ever have time for me?
Amber's going to Atlanta to visit my sister for spring break. But I know I can't keep her from Charlie.
All right, have fun back home in Atlanta, sweetie, but mind your grandparents.
I will.
That means stay away from Charlie.
Huh? Sure.
Men have been nothing but trouble for me, and I don't want that for my daughter.
She didn't approve of the boy she was seeing.
Hi.
She didn't want her daughter going on spring break and spending a week with her boyfriend.
You know, you've been very impressive, Debbie. Very impressive in so many ways.
Well, I've learned from the best, haven't I?
Oh, you know, great teachers are made by great students. To us. Tonight, we break all the rules.
Well, about that, Larry,
Surprise.
what are you doing here?
Well, I thought I'd come and surprise you, honey.
She went to Memphis to a drug convention, and Larry came to the hotel, embarrassed her. He was checking up on her.
Larry, this is Brandon King. Brandon, this is my husband, Larry.
I think Larry was suspicious. She was pretty. She was gone a lot. I think he was concerned she was having an affair.
You don't trust me, Larry.
What you do on these business trips?
What are you
come and have
talking
dinner,
about?
a little nice candlelight
I was having a
with
dinner.
us.
We
Yeah,
had a dinner
with
to
some
celebrate our
champagne.
You don't trust me. I'm just here working.
Didn't look like work to me.
I expect a little trust. That's what marriage is all about.
And I expect my wife to keep her legs together.
How dare you?
Unlike you, Larry? Yes! Yes, I am doing well. You don't trust
She'd heard a lot of car noise outside.
What the hell?
Her yard had been torn up somehow.
My car's open.
She had gone out to her car and found muddy footprints in her car.
Is anything missing?
That scared her, made her more nervous, made her say, I want to move back to Atlanta. I hate it here in Little Rock.
I'm beginning to feel like a rat in some sick experiment. And, like most lab rats, I'll end up dead in the end. First, my traveler's checks go missing. Then somebody breaks into my car and wrecks my yard. So what's the point of living in a gated community? Lately, I really miss Atlanta and my daughter, Amber. She's there now for spring break.
I knew that she lived in Atlanta, Georgia, prior to coming to Little Rock. Debbie and I weren't real fond of Little Rock. It was very different from what we were both used to. And she said, well, I wouldn't mind moving back to Atlanta.
Hey, sis.
Hey, Debs. I wish you were here.
Yeah, I wish I was with you in Atlanta, too. Little Rock is getting to me. Can I speak with Amber?
She's out at the movies.
Movies, huh? Sounds familiar. If you see that lowlife biker Charlie sniffing around...
Oh, I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, let me know.
She was concerned about Amber getting seriously involved or maybe possibly marrying at a young age and making some of the same mistakes that Debbie did.
Is this what you were looking for?
Where did you find it?
Way up in her closet.
She's not with my sister or her father. I think she's with this loser.
Yeah, we were young once.
Spoken like someone who can't get pregnant. I think I should drive down there and check up on her. Just for the weekend.
And I think you're overreacting. Amber's a good kid. But you're her mother. Do whatever you think is best.
Do you want a drink?
Yeah, I'll take a beer.
Okay.
Charlie Green was someone that Debbie did not like and did not want Amber dating. One of the reasons that she didn't contact anyone about her visit to Atlanta was that she wanted to surprise Amber and potentially catch her off guard in case she was seeing Charlie Green.
I talked to her Wednesday at 10 minutes after 10. I talked to her Thursday at 10 after 10 because she was very particular and very detailed at making sure that she called at the same time every day. Friday morning, I got a call, and it was about 7 o'clock a.m., and she said, I just wanted to touch base with you. I'm going to have breakfast with Brandon King, and he and I are probably going to, be together for about an hour.
Morning.
Good morning. Got those glazed ones you love?
Thinking ahead. Sugar sells.
Mm-hmm.
They were not like close friends, but they had a work relationship, and she would meet him for lunch sometimes. These were relationships that you had to have in order to be successful.
I can't believe my husband just showed up in Memphis. Sorry about that. He said he just wanted to make sure I got there safely.
No worries. Oh, yeah. We gotta get ready for this presentation.
Mm-hmm.
This is my last appointment ever. I was heading to Atlanta to surprise my wayward daughter and maybe settle a few old scores.
As the rain begins to fall, it's to the heavens I am called.
Then Friday evening come and she didn't call me. And I thought, that's kind of strange. So Saturday comes and I didn't hear from her and I was worried.
How was Atlanta?
Great. I'm starving.
How was your mom?
What?
Yeah, she was looking forward to seeing you.
I didn't see Mom. Was she in Atlanta?
Yeah, drove out Friday. Supposed to be driving back tonight.
When Amber arrived back in Little Rock that Sunday night, and Larry went to pick her up, he takes Amber to eat, and then they went to pick up a movie, and then they went back home.
Hey, Debs? Debbie?
Doesn't look like she's back yet.
Well, we can pop in a movie. I'm sure she'll be back any minute.
I'm exhausted. I'm just gonna go to bed.
Okay.
At some point, Larry had began to realize that it was all very strange. He started calling and made a couple of phone calls to Atlanta. Have you seen Debbie? No one had seen her.
Hey, it's Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Did you, by chance, hear from Debbie this weekend?
No, haven't seen her.
Well, she said she was headed your way.
Larry, you're worrying me.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a panic myself.
On Monday, he reported her missing.
Friday morning, she called to tell me to give the gardener's final payment, didn't fire him.
Why fire the gardener?
Well, Debbie's been complaining that he's a real creep.
Do you think he could have hurt your wife?
I don't know.
We know your wife was leaving town. Where was she headed?
Atlanta.
He indicated to me that she drove to Atlanta, Georgia. He says it's therapeutic to her. She doesn't like to fly.
You were home on Friday? Uh-huh. I had a seminar, then I hit the gym and home. Lots of folks saw me.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Tony?
Speaking.
My manager at the time called me. And he said, hey, have you spoke to Debbie?
No, I haven't talked to her since Friday morning. She had a meeting with Brandon. Is there something wrong?
And he said, well, I don't want to worry you, but she's apparently missing. And I said, missing? What in the world? I'll be honest. I'm thinking, well, did she just leave? Was she frustrated? Did something happen? I had no idea.
Detective Overly.
This is Robert Audrey.
After they learned she was missing, her second husband, who apparently was still able to track her credit card charges, called the police.
I have some information that may be of value to you.
Since Debbie and I were married, I've been keeping tabs on her bank statements and credit cards. And,
Wait. You're telling me you regularly check her credit card statements?
He found out that she had made no purchases on a charge card since the week prior to. So there wasn't really any trail we could follow.
all of her accounts went radio silent on April 5th.
Okay.
The fact that he had that information and was still following Debbie in that way made him a person of interest.
Did I push my ex-husband, the man who still loved me, too far, to the point of murder? It's been 5 days since I disappeared. Detectives are frantically searching for me.
Just as a precaution, we were going to check the airport. Little Rock PD has a security team at the airport. I called a sergeant and asked him to check their parking lot logbooks. About 20 minutes later, he called me back. He said, "Joe, the car's on the lot. Name, license plate, and everything." Said it's parked in long-term parking. The car was locked. We couldn't get in the trunk. During that period, while we were waiting on everybody to arrive on scene,
I'm going to need you to call this number, 678-4912.
I had been given Debbie Ashley's pager number, and I called her pager.
It's her pager.
It's in the trunk.
Some of our officers who are assigned to the airport security began to look over the parking lot out there for this car and found the body of Debbie Ashley in the trunk of the car.
Looks like 2 gunshot wounds.
She wasn't crunched up in a circle. She was laying flat. Her head was kind of propped up on the rear fender well inside the trunk. She had blood on her chest abdomen area, and it was determined that she had a gunshot wound to the upper abdomen. Further inspection revealed that she had a bullet wound in the roof of her mouth. So that told us that the barrel of the gun had been placed in her mouth and she was shot that way. And that was probably the fatal wound. It was a small caliber bullet, we knew that. Debbie Ashley was a smaller, petite woman. The seat on the driver's side was pushed all the way back.
Check out the seat here. A lot of legroom for a little lady.
As if a taller, larger person drove the car. That was very suspicious.
Thursday morning at about 7 o'clock, I got a phone call from Little Rock Homicide. And they told me that she had been murdered. I was just floored. I was absolutely stunned. I couldn't believe it. And the thing that was so upsetting to me is, you know, they explained to me where they found her body. It was there in the trunk of a car. I mean, that's just...
In a homicide investigation, you consider all the potential people of interest, and then you start ruling those people out. Debbie Ashley's second husband, Robert Autry, he was ruled out. There was no proof that he was ever in Arkansas during this time period.
Myself and another detective went to interview Amber, Debbie Ashley's daughter.
My mom was supposed to pick me up from the airport on Sunday. I was in Atlanta for spring break, and my dad, or my stepdad, he picked me up instead.
What did he say when he picked you up?
He asked me if I'd see my mom because I guess he thought she had visited me.
What's the relationship like between your stepdad and your mom?
Larry wanted my mom to spend more time at home, but they seem to be in love.
Larry Ashley told the police that Debbie did not like Charlie Green.
What can you tell me about Charlie Green?
Charlie?
Maybe he played some sort of part in this?
No, I was with Charlie in Atlanta all weekend. He couldn't have done this.
Amber was seeing Charlie Green while she was in Atlanta, so he was never even a person of interest.
Police need to speak to the last person who saw me alive, and Brandon King climbs to the top of the suspect list.
Hello, Brandon.
We talked to one of Debbie's co-workers, a Brandon King, and he had met with her Friday morning.
So when did you last see her?
We met 8:45 Friday morning, had a meeting at the hospital. She left in her company car around 10:15 a.m.
He said that Debbie brought some donuts to the meeting, and after the meeting was over, probably around 10 a.m., they walked back out, talked a moment on the parking lot, and he left and she left.
Was there anything odd about the way that Miss Ashley was behaving?
She seemed to be her normal self.
Did she ever mention her personal life?
Personal life?
As far as relationships, that's a routine question you ask. Well, do you think she might have been seeing somebody else, or she might have left town with somebody?
You were close friends, right, Brandon?
We were close, yeah.
How close, Brandon? You guys took trips together?
Those were work trips.
She was a pretty lady. You must have noticed.
We were just friends. Colleagues.
Brandon can usually sell anything, but police don't seem to be buying his story. Could he have killed me in cold blood?
Overly. We checked with your coworkers. You're free to go.
The relationship between Debbie Ashley and Brandon King was strictly business. There was nothing to indicate that they had anything going on with each other. But we learned that a couple of weeks prior to this incident, she had gone out to her car and found
Anything missing?
muddy footprints in her car.
What the hell?
Her yard had been torn up somehow, maybe by a car.
Did the Ashley's gardener Frank come through here on Friday?
No Frank on Friday. Looks like the last time was Thursday morning. Then he left about 1:45.
I felt that it's probably just some kids in the neighborhood or maybe auto burglary suspects going through the neighborhood. I didn't think that had any connection to her death.
What about Mr. Ashley's coming and going last Friday?
I saw Mr. Ashley leave on Friday. But he wasn't driving his car. He was driving his wife's red car.
Security guard said that later that evening, probably no more than 2 hours later, he saw Larry Ashley walking back into the neighborhood. And he thought that was very odd.
We got to get Larry down to the station.
He should just be getting off work.
When they started to do their legwork, they started finding several inconsistencies in Larry Ashley's story.
In sales, they teach you to be positive, but don't oversell. With customers, trust matters. Same with a murder suspect. If you gain their trust, they just might confess to the crime.
Mr. Ashley came down for further questioning. He waived his rights and agreed to talk to us.
So, tell us again what Debbie's plans were on Friday.
Like I said, she called me Friday morning to tell me she decided to make a spur-of-the-moment trip to Atlanta after her presentation.
There was no phone calls to his office. We couldn't find anything to show they had a conversation by phone that morning.
You told us you were at the gym Friday night. But how is it they have no record of you being there?
He just thought he would give a statement and we would just take it to heart that it was all the truth and we wouldn't try to verify any of the information he was giving us, which is totally the opposite. We're going to try to verify everything he tells us. It was after that that the prosecutor made the decision that we had enough to charge him with her murder. I placed Mr. Ashley in the Little Rock Detention Center. He was charged with, at that point, with first-degree murder.
When James Larry Ashley reported his wife Debbie as missing, it led to a string of events that would ultimately point a suspecting finger in his direction.
About 3:30 or 4 that morning, the jailer said that Mr. Ashley wanted to talk to me, and he gave a statement about he had killed his wife. He said that he had gone home to say his goodbyes and she was still going to Atlanta. They got in a heated argument. He told me that she had thrown an ashtray at him, threw her purse at him, and he said she carried a gun in her purse all the time. He said the gun fell on the floor. I went to pick it up, and she pushed me real hard. And he said the gun accidentally went off twice. The problem he had, which came back to haunt him later in the trial, was the medical examiner said the barrel of the weapon was put in her mouth and fired through the roof of her mouth. That's not an accidental discharge. That's a deliberate gunshot. Premeditated.
Larry! Oh, you scared me out of my wits. Why aren't you at work?
Doesn't matter.
What does that mean?
You really have no idea.
Larry, you're scaring me.
I wanted it to work, but the banks, the creditors, they won't let me breathe.
What are you doing?
I'm paying the bills, honey. The only way I know how. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
They say the wife is last to know. How true that is. It turns out that Larry lied about a lot of things.
Larry Ashley is a pathological liar.
She had a credit card and some traveler's checks that were missing. I suspect that Larry was the one who got them.
Debbie Ashley had a life insurance policy through her employment. I ultimately think the fact that he didn't divorce her and he killed her, I do believe that he did it to collect on that insurance policy.
They never did find the gun that killed me, but they found something much more sinister.
We received information that there was an audit done at his job in Atlanta, and that the person who had performed the audit that showed some discrepancies in their financial situation was later found dead, that her body was found in the trunk of a car.
It was kind of eerie, kind of the same circumstances, body in a trunk at the airport, no connection to Larry. Who knows?
After 6 months in jail, James Ashley walked towards the courthouse for the start of his capital murder trial.
At trial, we put on one witness after the other to disprove everything he said, which means that there was no reason for the jury to believe his story.
It's just been a long week. I think that's all I want to say right now.
The jury hates a liar almost more than they hate a murderer. They convicted Larry Ashley of capital murder, and he was sentenced to life without parole.
She was just a loving person. That's the thing that I remember the most.
I miss the daydreams and the memories when you drive the open roads. My car had been my sanctuary, and then it had become my tomb when Larry Ashley betrayed me.